So, how I went from this to this with my art over the years. I'm just gonna simplify this like into kind of a short video. First of all, time. You really need to give yourself a lot of time. It cannot be like a rushed thing. You need to put the time into doing art. If you really want to get better, you really need to put the time in. And I think like people think that art just comes naturally to people and it's like a gift and like, oh, you're so gifted, whatever. Like people do not just become good at art like overnight. It is a thing that is like, it is a skill that is built up over time like any other skill. It's like driving, it's like learning to cook, it's like whatever. The first time you do something like that, you're not going to have it mastered the first time that you do it. People usually who are good at art from like a younger age, like their teen years, have been doing art like their entire life. You could look at it like, oh, they're so like blessed and whatever, and like I do think that it is a thing where people who do art, their brains are wired differently. I did see some like study a while ago, I don't really remember what it said, but like people who do art, like their brain is like people who like to do art and who are like very artistic, their brain is literally wired differently. But I think that when you have like that passion and that drive to do art, that passion is like what keeps you motivated to keep doing it over the years and to stick to it and to be dedicated to it. You have to dedicate yourself to it. If you want to get good at it, then you essentially need to dedicate yourself to it. And I think a lot of people are not willing to put in the time and do not have the dedication to it that you need. It is kind of like a relationship in a way, like you need to put in the time and the dedication, or else it's not gonna work out. You know, it is comparable in that way. Stop being afraid of making mistakes. Like this has held me back. Like I will procrastinate like drawing a certain aspect of like a drawing or an art thing, and I will like save it for last, or like I'll give my attention to like a million other things, like instead of just doing the thing that I'm avoiding doing. Like say I'm avoiding doing the hair, I'm avoiding coloring it in, I'm avoiding doing the other eye, because like if you know, you know, the second eye is like scary to do after you have done the first eye, if you're drawing a face or painting a face or whatever. But avoiding these things and like allowing fear to stop you, it's gonna take a lot more time to like finish the like art piece that you're working on, and also it's gonna stop you from possibly completing things, from possibly developing your skills further, because you're allowing fear to stop you. You literally just need to like jump into the pool. You just need to jump in, like, you know, the water's cold, but you just need to jump in and then you'll warm up quickly. Or when you're driving a car, I had an art teacher who would always use driving a car as like an example for like everything that had to do with art for some reason. But when you're driving a car, like when you first are learning to drive a car, there is really no way around developing that skill aside from just like jumping straight into it head first. Like that is kind of how it is with doing art, I guess. And you're not necessarily going to be the best at it at first. It could genuinely take years to get good at it, but with like time, practice, dedication, you will get better. Yeah, basically not being afraid. Like I think a lot of people have talent, like they have potential, they whatever, and they just don't. Their fear stops them. They're afraid of making something bad. They're afraid of not liking how it looks. It's like, you make something bad, you don't like the outcome, so what? Make something that you like better next time, or the time after that, or the time after that. Like eventually you will get to a place where you're happy with what you're making, or you will further develop your skill. Yeah, I think fear stops people in a lot of ways in life, and I think that art is no different. everyone's afraid of making mistakes. The thing is like allowing those mistakes to stop you. Mistakes are inevitable, so you just need to accept that. And once you have accepted that and like can push past like the fear that is holding you back, then that is huge. When I was taking some art classes, like I was taking like painting and drawing, and I had to do a lot of like drawing homework and painting homework, and I had to literally force myself to be doing art every week at least. And it was usually in a time crunch because I had other homework I had to do. I had to be completing like my math homework too, my other core classes, and so I really had to sometimes speed run things, like not allow myself to like fixate on things for too long and just like accept, okay, this is just how it's gonna be. It can't have any more detail in it than this. Like sometimes you just have to recognize like something is done, leave it as it is, and you could genuinely work on a painting forever and ever and ever, and or an art piece, and never feel happy with it or satisfied, never feel like it's quite done. But at some point you have to just leave it, and you can't always go back to it. But also, when is it time to move on to the next thing? You know what I mean? Not every art piece has to be perfect. You don't have to like everything that you make. I think that when you grow up doing art from like being a child, it's easier to like the things that you're making even if they're not good, because like you have a different perspective on art and a different definition of what you think is good, like than an adult say would have, because your mind as a kid is just different than your mind as an adult. So I think in a way like, being really into art and like developing that skill is easy in a way when you start at a younger age in certain aspects than when you start at an older age. I think you can be less critical of yourself when you're a child doing it and you're still like developing your skill. But anyways, my initial point that I was trying to make was that the amount of time that I had to put into like doing art, like a regular time, it wasn't just like oh, I just do this for fun in my free time. It was like homework that I had to do that had a due date, you know what I mean? And so it was a motivating factor to do art, and I think that it helped me because it helped me a lot, because I was able to like stay committed to doing it more than I regularly would. And sometimes people need something pushing them to like do something. They need like a commitment, they need like a time crunch, they need a due date or whatever so that they'll actually do it. So maybe like if you're a person who has a hard time with like sitting down doing art in your free time, maybe a good thing to do would be like to take a class, to take an art class or to whatever, and then you're kind of like have a day of the week where you're forced to kind of do it. Like sometimes that works better for people. Anyway, I noticed like having to be kind of forced in a way to do art and having to do it so often, I was like actively noticing that I was able to do art quicker than before. It used to take me so long to do art, to do anything. I feel like it literally took me all day, days, weeks, definitely weeks actually. Like it took me so long to do literally anything. And like from an outsider perspective, it may be like, oh, that's so comes so easy to you. No, it literally was like a struggle. Like I literally still remember like how much it was a struggle to draw anything, how many times I had to erase and redo, and how much time I had to put into doing something. Like it was not easy. Also, not believing in yourself and making like self-deprecating jokes about it or whatever, like, oh, I can only draw a stick figure, oh, I can't draw, like it's so hard, like blah 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 blah, like, or like when they're talking about their art, they're just constantly putting themselves down. They're constantly like, mama, you know what I mean? Why is my TV on? Don't don't do that. Like, don't talk down about your art, and don't let like that also stop you, because I think that also stops a lot of people. Like, people are afraid to make ugly art. You're afraid of like what other people have to say about your art, or if other people are like unnecessarily harsh to you about it. It's like you are still ahead of them, because in a way, because you're trying and they're not. At least you're actually trying and like doing, and they probably are just consuming all the time instead of creating anything. So you can't really let that get to you either. But I also think like if people are genuinely trying to give you advice like on what you could do differently, like in a genuine way, I think it is good to like take what they have to say into consideration. Some of the art teachers I have had have given me criticism, constructive criticism, and it has been very beneficial and very helpful. So I also don't think that you need to take art classes to like develop your skills. I never took art classes until I was like 19 and in college, and before that, I guess you could consider myself self-taught because I never watched tutorials or anything like that. I'm the type of person who like looks at something and then I try to recreate the best that I can. I need a reference photo. I think everybody is different when it comes to art, but that is how I am. I'm like I feel like a copycat, like a copy and paste artist. Like, I need a reference photo. Everybody's like different. I think some people they don't need a reference photo. They can just like think of the image in their head and like draw that. I cannot do that. So with some things I can, but like specifically with like a lot of specific things, I need to have like a reference photo. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, honestly, either. Or like anything wrong with accepting that everybody's different, everybody's art style is different, like their creative process, their inspiration, what they like to draw. I like to draw faces, I like to draw people. That is my favorite thing to draw. I don't really like drawing backgrounds or nature or landscapes or anything like that. I love to draw faces, paint faces. I don't know why, that is my thing, but everybody is different. Some people prefer traditional art, some people prefer digital art or other forms of art, and some people find some of them harder to do than others, like all the different kinds of art you can do: pastels, painting, drawing, whatever. Find your medium that works for you, and I think it's also good to explore other mediums though. Like, I like to do digital art, I like to do traditional art. I used to only do traditional art, but then I've kind of like started doing more digital art, and yeah. Also, I found the like transition from doing digital art to traditional art extremely difficult. It did not transfer that easily for me. You would think that it would not be that different, but like my skills did not transfer into like doing digital art. I kind of had to like start over, and I don't know if anyone relates to that, but taking art classes like forced me to really step out of my comfort zone with art. I kind of had to follow rules instead of like just doing what I wanted to do in my free time. So it forced me to draw bigger, paint bigger, use bigger paper, and like I'm talking like huge paper. I used to like to draw like on small paper, like no bigger than like that, and I preferred that because that took me a long time. But yeah, it really forced me to step out of my comfort zone. See, I think in that way fear was holding me back from doing like ginormous paper, but now I do not feel so intimidated by it because I had to step out of my comfort zone, and yeah. Sometimes you need to trust the process. A lot of times. I literally pretty much every single time I do anything art related, the process needs to be trusted. Okay. you really, and that's another thing too, I think a lot of people give up because they're not trusting the process, but sometimes you just gotta wait, keep on adding stuff, and it'll come together. And also, it's not too late, it's never too late to go back to doing art. If you haven't done art in like years and you want to go back to doing it, go back to doing it. It is not it is not too late to go back to doing it. And if you just think it's too late, too much time has passed by, and you don't go back to doing it, you could regret that. You know what I mean? You could look back to that point you were at years ago when you wanted to go back and you never did. And you could have gone back then and now you're, you know what I mean? It just is like a cycle and you could end up just regretting it. So if you want to go back, go back. It is not too late. The final thing that I learned is the illusion of detail. So instead of like spending forever and ever and ever on every single little detail that you feel like you need to do, the illusion of detail is extremely important because it'll be way less time consuming, save so much time, and it looks good still. And like you'll notice in a lot of paintings and a lot of artists, they do this thing. It looks like intricately detailed, but like upon like looking closer, you will notice that it is not actually as it appears. Like certain like brush strokes and shadows and that give the illusion of having detail. If I think of an example, then I will add one in. But thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please subscribe and give it a like. And yeah, and if you have any suggestions that I did not mention or like anything to add on to what I said, please leave it in the comments below. And yeah, bye guys. My hair's like been changing color recently. Like I don't know what is going on. I don't know if it has to do with like magic or something else, but it just started off as like a little strand in the front and just like gotten more and more with time. I'm not really sure if that has to do with like the magic like over the course of time like affecting my hair more and more, but like but like yeah, I don't know. Wait, that's cute. Also wait, I can show off my hair and I can show off my shirt at the same time. The shirt is so cool, but it's like the back of the shirt that's cool. The front is like, who cares? But the sides are cool.